Welcome. This is Wisconsin Shoe Guy, and today we're going to take a look at what to think about when you're ordering a pair of MTO shoes. I've had a lot of people come to me and ask, what are the different things that I consider, and what are the different pieces that go into this. And so I happened to order a pair today and was going through the process, and I thought, hey, maybe this would be something to share with everybody. But I put together this PowerPoint slide really because I think it helps illustrate a few of the really important things to think about. Now there are more, so you can go kind of hog wild with what you want to customize in a shoe and what you don't, and different makers have different ways of doing it. Like Carmina, one of the things we talked about before is that they have this really cool customization tool which gives you like 3D imaging and allows you to choose thread color and all kinds of really cool things. And in this case, I've decided to look at a pair of Zonky boot. And so I'm not sure what options they offer. So I just decided to stick with the basics. So really the design, what kind of shoe or boot am I looking for? What options do they have? What is the leather? And when I do an MTO now, I'm really trying to look at whether or not I want to do a combination of leathers or just a single leather. This is really important to me because what I don't want to do is I don't want to just go through all the trouble of choosing an MTO, having it exactly like one of the shoes that they normally offer, which of course I pay attention to the website. So I'm very inspired by, like Zonky Boot and what they offer, but that's not necessarily what we want to do when we're actually going and customizing a program. So now the lining, choosing a lining color is fun. But there are a couple things to keep in mind. For instance, all of the Enzo Bonifay shoes that I've customized and done a complete MTO on, we've always gone with kid leather lining. And I have a pair of Carminas that are also kid leather lining, and kid is goat, by the way. And it's thinner, which means the shoes are a little bit bigger. That's something you have to take into account if you like your shoes a certain fit. You could have an exact pair with the exact same last in a stock shoe and have it feel like it's a lot looser in the MTO because you chose a thinner material for the lining. So something to kind of keep in mind. Now, one of the cool things about this is that you can choose the last exactly what you want. With a lot of makers, this opens the door for all those people who have special sizes and need have a narrow foot or have a wide foot. They can offer those things as well. But for me, one of the things I like best is being able to choose simply between a round toe, an almond toe, or a chisel toe, and like a soft square kind of thing. To me, that makes a big difference in how the shoe looks. And if I look at, a standard shoe, like for instance, a lot of split toes are on almond lasts or oval lasts, and putting them on a square toe last really opens up and changes the way they look. And I really like that. So that's one of those things that I tend to look at. Now, I don't do it with everyone because I do want the variety, but it is an interesting way of looking at it. And you can do that with most of the programs. TLB allows you to do it. Carmina allows you to do it. Even if you do a special with Crockett and Jones, you can do it. Now, some really limit it, like Edward Green. They really limit the lasts you can choose and don't offer that variety on every shoe. Now, some of them they do, but they have kind of strict rules on how they approach it. So it's something you have to ask about and understand and understand what you want to do. Now, the next one is construction. So do you want it to be Goodyear welted? Do you want it to be hand welted? Do you want it to be Blake stitched? Do you want to have Norvegese stitching? Do you want to have Tyrolese stitching? There's all kinds of different things that you can choose. Sometimes you can choose the color of those things, although you do have to be careful because I ordered a pair of shoes with Norvegese stitching, and then the stitching was more like a twine and less like linen thread. And a couple of shoemakers came up to me afterwards and were like, "Why'd you do that? That looks really bad." So something to kind of think about. Now, I wouldn't have thought that it looked really bad, but if they think it looks really bad and they're in the know, that does change things a little bit. So these are the type of things that you learn over time, and I'm hoping that you'll be able to learn from my experience so that you feel good about making these decisions on a made-to-order shoe. Now, the next one is eyelets or speed hooks. This is a really nice thing to be able to say, hey, I want brass, I want gold, I want antique, I want silver, I want nickel, You know, I don't want it to be shiny. I want it to be kind of matte, all kinds of different things that you can do in order to be able to look for it. In this particular pair of shoes, I'm coming up on my 25th wedding anniversary. And so I decided to ask for sterling silver. I don't know whether or not they're going to be able to do that, but it's not like I wanted to put a sterling silver toe cap on the shoe. That's kind of gaudy. So I wanted to do something where it's subtle, where I know about it and my wife knows about it. And that can be something that we can kind of do. My wife collects fountain pens, so I went down the fountain pen road for her. But it's a lot less easy to find, you know, a good silver component in a pair of shoes. You certainly don't want to use it for a toe plate or something like that because it's softer, right? So anyway, moving along, the waist. Do you want a beveled waist? Do you want a square waist? Lots of different options that you can do on the waist in order to be able to do it. Now you also have the sole itself. Do you want the sole with a bevel on the waist area of the sole? Do you want it with a fiddle back? Those are options. Do you want it painted? A lot of times people like two-tone painting so that the waist is one color and then the flat part of the sole is the other. And then of course, do you want toe plates? What material do you want the toe plates? Some guys wear through the brass toe plates too fast and they really have to have steel. Other guys don't care. So, and gals, right? So there's a lot of different options that you have there. So things to think about as you're going through and looking. So let's just start. We're going to go and look at the lookbook for Zonky at the different styles that they have. And I'm not going to go through all of them, but you can see, you can have a hole cut boot. You could have a Jodhpur boot. This is interesting. It's a hole cut derby boot. They've actually created a derby that sits in a hole cut. Then they have Chelsea boots, different kinds of derby boots, really beautiful things with different skin. That's elephant there. And of course, I'm into field boots, and field boots is really one of the hallmarks of my collection right now. So I saw this one and I thought, you know, that's really pretty. Now, what's interesting is I saw the ZB142 Tapco Derby boot a bunch of other places. This is page 2 of their list. And so I realized that this is, you know, can be relatively vague and you can do a lot of different things with it. So one of the things that I did was I said, okay, well, this is beautiful. This is elephant and in cordovan. And my wife and I have an agreement that I'm not allowed to have anything in any endangered leather. So I can't do elephant, even though I think that the texture on that is phenomenal. But what I'll do instead is look at different leathers that I can do for this. Now, one of the things that I did was I said, okay, well, what leathers do they have available? And this swatch book is one of the best swatch books of any shoemaker that I've seen. And there are several that are really good, like St. Crispin's is really, really good as well. But this is Zonky. They have the Bavarian calf. They have a bunch of different colors in it. A lot of different options that you can have depending on how you want it. Then they have Shrunken Bull, one of the few places that have Shrunken Bull, and a lot of different options there. And I actually chose the Toscani, which is this one, for the shaft of the boot. So you know how I like that elephant leather and the big texture? I thought this was a good big texture to have on there, but wanted to make sure that it is really cool. But here are some other options that they have. Then they have your classic aniline calf, your full grain calf suede. Now, full grain is really cool because it's a reversed suede, right? So when you're looking at a reverse suede, that means that if it's unlined, you can feel the back of it. It's the smooth leather part, and then it's the whole piece. That if you buy suede shoes and you buy reversed suede, they last just as long as other shoes. I've never had a problem with water or anything like that because it's basically just inside out and just as strong as the other leather. You just have to worry about brushing it, but you don't have to worry about polishing it. So kind of a little bit there for you. Now, this is interesting. This is Russian reindeer and Russian calf. And basically the oil content is higher in the calf, so it's stiffer, but they have different colors out there for each of them, which I think is cool. And then they have some overdrum leathers, which are really nice. They have a little bit of a different pattern in the leather, which is nice. Here we have a couple of others. Love green, that can be a lot of fun. Now, this is the plain Vacetta. This is basically what they say is this is only rolled and not glazed by the tannery. So to me, that's very, very similar to Vigano leather, just a different tannery. And so I was looking at these and I actually chose this one here. which is the what is it? Left-hand column Zinco. That's that one right there. Really excited about that. Looks really good. But just so you can see some of the other options they have, these are waxy Vacetta, and then they have hatch grain Vacetta and pebble grain Vacetta as well. Now they call it Tuscan grain. Then they have some reverse suede, which are really nice, and some horsehide. Then, of course, the elephant leather, which we talked about before. And then they have some special grains, which are always fun. And then they have your wools. And now they start talking about linings and calf fur. So you can do sheepskin linings, or you can do calf fur on the outside. And here are the leather linings. And I just chose to go with a tan because I like the way that looks. And now here, if you're into Chelsea boots, one of the cool things about MTO is you can have a lot of fun with the elastic, which is just a lot different. Now, when you actually go to order it, right, they have this special that ends today where they waive the MTO fee. You know, you can choose the lasts, and I didn't. I just chose the basic last for this. I didn't go crazy and choose a different one because I have a pair of shoes on the Sailor Last already, and so I just went with it. I would have chosen like if I was going to wear like really thick socks or I was looking to go hiking or something like that, I might choose like a big boot last. But since I tend to wear boots like shoes, I didn't want to go down that path. But you can see they have a lot of different options. And then you have your form, which just basically creates an email that you send to them. And then somebody, actually a person, gets back to you via email and walks you through your options, figures a method to collect payment and so forth, and will set the timeline for your purchase. So it's a very slick way of doing it. Now, many makers have a much stricter way of doing it, and they give you your options, and those are your options, and you choose it and you pay and you're done, right? Zonky Boot has this more open way of looking at it, and I like that. I think it's a lot of fun the way they do it, and really anxious to see kind of how the process ends up. And hopefully I'll be able to share this pair of shoes with you guys in a couple months. So this is Wisconsin Shoe Guy, and that is the process for this pair of made to order field boots. Let me know if you have questions in the comments below. Thanks.